Good morning, students. Today we will start with macroeconomics, the other part of economics class 12. The chapter 1 is basic concepts of macroeconomics. Now, what is macroeconomics? You have studied microeconomics in class 11, in which you have learned that microeconomics deals with small items or small individuals of the economy. Just opposite of microeconomics, macroeconomics will deal with aggregates of the economy. So it is the study of aggregate of the economy or the entire economy. For example, national income, aggregate income, total employment, inflation, total savings, all these things. That means all those factors which influence the economy or country as a whole will be studied under macroeconomics. In microeconomics, you have studied about individual units. For example, production in one particular industry or one particular firm, then price in one particular firm, supply of goods in one particular firm, or even in case of a single market only, not the entire economy. But in case of macroeconomics, we will deal with the entire economy, not any individual unit or even an individual market also. Market also comes under microeconomics. Now, microeconomics is also known as theory of income and employment, because the government or the administrator of the country or economy deal with mainly macroeconomics to determine the correct level of income and correct level of employment in the economy. Their main concern is to provide employment to people, and thus it is macroeconomics. And it is central problem of the government in macroeconomics, how to determine income, how to provide income and employment to people. So increase in national income will lead to increase in per capita income. So national income is a matter of macroeconomics. Whereas in case of microeconomics, you have dealt with individual unit. One individual unit thinks about his own production in his own firm, how much wage he will pay to the employee, what would be the cost of factors of production, all these things as an individual unit, not as a economy as a whole. But in case of macroeconomics, we will think about economy as a whole. Now let us discuss interdependence of microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now, although they are different or just opposite of each other, both microeconomics and macroeconomics are dependent upon each other or influence each other. For example, we can say that determination of wage by a particular individual firm is a matter of microeconomics, but that particular firm or that particular businessman determines the wage on the basis of general wage rate in the entire economy, that means in the country. So wage rate in the economy or the wage rate determined by the government, which is a matter of macroeconomics, influences the wage rate of one particular firm also. So like this we can see that microeconomics is dependent upon macroeconomics. On the other hand, macroeconomics is also dependent upon microeconomics. For example, calculation of GDP. Now, GDP is also a matter of macroeconomics because GDP deals with the entire economy or entire country. Now, how is GDP calculated? As we know, GDP is calculated by adding the production of each and every individual unit of the economy. That and each individual unit of an economy is a matter of microeconomics. So here microeconomics influences macroeconomics. So microeconomics individual unit influences macroeconomics, which is a macroeconomic factor or a unit of entire economy. So in this we can observe that microeconomics also influences macroeconomics. Like this, there are several other examples also. You can go through the book and understand where macroeconomics and microeconomics are dependent upon each other. Now let us discuss some of the differences or distinction between microeconomics and macroeconomics. Meaning, microeconomics is that part of economics which studies the behavior of individual units. So, as in class 11, you have studied microeconomics deal with individual unit, production function, or cost. All these things are about one individual unit or one individual production unit or factory in which all these things were studied. In macroeconomics, it studies the behavior of aggregates, that means entire economy, production of entire economy, entire country, cost of entire country, all these things are studied in macroeconomics. Second, tools. What are the tools of microeconomics? Mainly we have seen that demand and supply are the two main tools in microeconomics on the basis of which we calculate price or other things. So demand determines or influences price, supply also influences price, and intersection of demand and supply will lead us to market price. So these are the matters or tools of microeconomics. Now in macroeconomics we will study about or we will calculate aggregate demand, aggregate supply. Like this we will also calculate national income or all these things which are influencing the entire economy. Objective. What is the objective of microeconomics? The main objective of microeconomics is to determine price of commodity, that means the market price, or price of factors of production. Now factors of production like labor, so price of labor would be wage. Determination of wage is also done with the help of microeconomic factor. Then macroeconomics aim is to determine income, that is national income. Here in macroeconomics, income means national income and employment level of the economy. So these things we will consider in macroeconomics. We will do some calculations also in macroeconomics. Then aggregate. Microeconomics involves limited degree of aggregation, that means normally they deal with individuals, not aggregates or totals. But sometimes we observe that in microeconomics also some aggregates are done. For example, market supply or market demand, these are aggregates. So individual demand and market demand, I think you know or you understand. Individual demand is demand of one person, market demand is the demand of all those people in total who visit a particular market. So they are aggregates, but they are not a matter of macroeconomics. In case of macroeconomics, we will study about highest degree of aggregation of the country. That means what is the total demand of the entire country or economy, what is the total supply of entire economy or the country. It will be studied under macroeconomics. Other name of microeconomics is price theory, because normally price determination is the main aim of microeconomics, or calculation of profit. So everything which influences profit is done in microeconomics, so it is also called price theory. Another name for macroeconomics is income and employment theory. So you will deal mainly with national income and employment in macroeconomics. So all the chapters normally will deal with those things. That is why it is called macroeconomics. Now examples: individual income or individual production level of individual firm, price of a product, individual output, that means output of any individual firm. These are studied under microeconomics. In macroeconomics, we will study about national income, general price level, national output or GDP. This is the GDP or total output of the economy. So these are the main points of differences between microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now let us discuss some basic concepts of macroeconomics. You may know about these things. Intermediate goods. What are intermediate goods? Now, these are the goods which are the raw materials. So they are called intermediate goods because they are not final goods. These are actually the raw materials which are used in the process of production. So for example, you can say in a flour mill, wheat is the raw material because wheat will be converted into flour. And what is the end product? It is flour. So final goods will be flour and intermediate good or raw material will be wheat. So like this, all those things which are the raw material or which are used in the process of production and which do not deal or do not reach the end buyer, they are intermediate goods. So there are some examples also. Cotton for spinning mill, cotton is the intermediate good, cloth is the final good. Then intermediate goods, what do they include? Non-durable things and services used by producers such as raw materials. Now oils which are used in the production process, electricity used to run the machines and used up in the production process, it is also intermediate goods. Coal or fuel used in the factory in machineries. Then services of the technicians, employees or engineers, because they are used up and they are not reaching to the end consumer. Then goods lying with traders for resale in the same year. Durable goods. Now here goods lying with the traders, that means they have purchased them for resale. So when they are purchased, they are intermediate goods. When they will be sold, they will be the final good. Durable goods which are used for military purposes. So there are some durable goods like machineries. Although in case of agriculture, the tractors can be the durable goods which are used in the production process. So they are also intermediate goods. And in military purposes, in factories, so these are air conditioners in factories, they are intermediate goods. Trucks, buildings, aircrafts or submarines in the army, they are examples of intermediate goods. That means they are goods which are not reaching to the end buyer, they are used up in the production process. Next is final goods. Now what are final goods? They are used by the final consumption by the consumer. That means they are used by the consumers in the process of consumption, or they will be used by the producer for investment. They are final goods. These goods are neither for resale nor have to pass through a production process anymore. So normally final goods are not meant for resale. Now some examples of final goods. Breads. That means wheat is an intermediate good. Flour is also intermediate good. Final good is bread or butter or biscuits which will be used by us. So in case of shoes, leather will be the intermediate goods. Shoes are the final goods. Now final goods include all durable consumer goods. What are durable goods? Which are with the consumer for a long period of time. They are durable goods like scooters, bicycles, refrigerators, TV, like this, because they are used by us for long period of time. Non-durable goods are also final goods. So among non-durable goods, what are the final goods? Wheat, milk, bread, biscuit, because they will be consumed by us immediately and they do not remain with us for many years, so they are non-durable consumer goods. All capital goods used by producers. So machineries or equipments, tractors or trucks, these are used up in the production process. They will be remaining with the consumer producers for a long period of time, so they are final goods, they are not intermediate goods. Now let us discuss briefly the difference between intermediate goods and final goods. What are intermediate? Meaning, intermediate goods refer to those goods which are used either for resale or for further production. So these are not consumed by the consumer, but they are used by the producer for either resale or they are transformed into some new form. Final goods, they are used up either for consumption or for investment. So when we consume the goods, they are final goods, or when we use it for investment. For example, a car purchased by a taxi driver, he is investing his money in the purchase of car, it will be a final good. Here car is a final good. Then nature, intermediate goods are not included in national income. If you remember, in class 10 also we had discussed that the intermediate goods are not added to the GDP, because if we add the value of intermediate goods, it will lead to double counting. So to avoid the double counting or consequences of double counting, we do not include intermediate goods in national income or domestic income. Final goods are used in national and domestic income. So instead of intermediate goods, the value of final goods are used in calculation of GDP. Demand, they have a derived demand, they do not have any direct demand. So when we are demanding bread or biscuit, then to produce bread or biscuit, the intermediate goods like wheat, sugar, these things will be demanded. So they have derived demand, they do not have direct demand. Then final goods have direct demand. So the biscuits or breads that we demand, they directly constitute the demand. That is why the demand for final goods are direct demand, because the consumers want them directly and use up for their satisfaction. Value addition, they are not ready for use, that is, some value has to be added to the intermediate goods. So value addition is also one of the methods we will come across in calculation of national income. One of the methods is value added method. So value addition is done in intermediate goods to increase the value of intermediate goods, and then only they will become final goods. So for example, when wood is converted into furniture, wood is becoming final good. Wood is intermediate good and furniture is final good. So the value of wood is increasing, some value is being added to the value of wood, then only it is becoming final good. So there is always a value addition in intermediate good. Then in case of final good, there is no value addition because they already have been converted into final goods. So since they will not be converted further into some goods, already value addition has been done, so no value addition will be done in final goods. Production boundary, since intermediate goods are not finished or complete, it is said that they are within the production boundary, and when these intermediate goods are complete and become final goods, it is believed or said that they have crossed the production boundary or they are outside the production boundary. Transformation, intermediate goods are transformed in the process of production. They are transformed into several goods or new type of goods. Now final goods are not transformed. So once you purchase a biscuit, you do not change it to anything else and you consume that particular biscuit. So it is no transformation, or there is no transformation in case of final goods. Now example of intermediate goods, sometimes same thing could be intermediate goods as well as final goods. Milk is one of the good examples. when milk is used in dairy shop for resale, when the milk is used as a raw material in a dairy and then converted into several things like curd or chocolates, they are intermediate goods. But when the milk is purchased by household and when we consume milk, it is a final product. So same thing could be intermediate goods as well as final goods. So when the milk is purchased by a household, it will be a final good, that is it will be added to GDP or calculation of GDP. But when the milk is purchased by a dairy, it is not final good, that means it is not added to the value of GDP. When the product will be sold by the dairy, that value of product will be added to the value of GDP. So this is enough for today. You please go through your book or notes in the book. Thank you.